Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Hockey Collectors Roundtable, episode 9. I'm your host, Matt, Tomcat Sports Cards, and we are here to kind of put some positivity back into the hobby. It's been a really exciting day for a lot of us watching the draft. Obviously, all of us have been anticipating Connor Bedard getting drafted on a team, which means everybody's thinking about what's coming next from Upper Deck. But we are going to spend some time after we talk a little bit about the drafts, talking about some of our favorite inserts and sets over the last 10 years that Upper Deck has released. And maybe there'll be one or two that people in here haven't heard of. It's going to be exciting to see what comes out. To do that, I've brought in Ralph Stammer Wraparound Cards, whichever you want to call him. How are you doing today, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on the show, man.
You bet. I'm gonna see. I know we're seeing some Yager today, so that's we got to get hopefully some Penguins Yager and some other Yager in here. That would be great. Brought my friend Tim as well. He has been a busy man today in the best of ways. How you doing, dude?
Not bad, not bad. Tired, but now I'm ready for round 2. I'm ready for the podcast. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Excited to see what you come up with, especially with your jersey number collection that you got going there. You definitely have a pretty wide variety that you have been looking through as far as cards and sets. So, unfortunately, we can't do Panini because if we did, oh man, this show would be just as exciting. But for another time. But and then making his second appearance, if I'm correct, Kyle, aka Penguins Pirates. Kyle,
hello.
How are you doing tonight?
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to talking some cards. Honestly, had a long day at work, so this is a nice break.
Awesome, dude. Well, I just had a long, nice bike ride, so I'm ready to kind of bring it down and try to resist eating my dinner here while we're doing this. But as soon as we start talking cards, I'm probably going to forget all about it. So before we get into the cards, though, I'd like to know everybody's thoughts. We just had the draft started not too long ago. I think everybody knew who the first pick was going to be. That would have been the biggest shock in any major sports draft history had he not gone first. I think the whole city of Chicago would be on fire right now if that was the case. So now that Connor Bedard's been drafted, anybody wants to go, was there a surprise or two that caught you off guard? Anything that kind of unexpected that happened in the draft?
I'd say Mitchkov at 7 to Philly. Honestly, I thought we would have gone higher. Obviously, there might be some issues as far as the whole Russia contract with KHL type deal and NHL conflict. But I mean, this kid was touted up there with Connor McDavid back when they were 16, right? So just surprised he wasn't a little bit higher than that. But hey, good deal for Philly if he ends up coming over early on and performing well. So
maybe it was just other teams weren't willing to take that gamble if he couldn't come over for a set amount of time. But if they end up convincing him, maybe Coach is it Tortorella? Is he still over there? Or
Philly? Oh man,
Columbus.
Yeah.
He was on Columbus, but I thought he had then went to Philly after he was there last year, wasn't he?
Well, Philly's been such a train wreck lately.
Yeah,
I can't even keep track of them. I mean, it's been insane for them.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. What about you, Stammer or Tim? Any other surprises in that first round there?
Simashev to the Yotes. That was a big surprise because they had their chance at Michkov, I think. So and then Weinbacher to Montreal at 5. We all knew that a defenseman had to go pretty high. But still, And then after the Will Smith pick, it was pretty much open season, So it was a pretty exciting, way that the draft turned out. Right now, my team is picking at 17, the Red Wings. So I'm excited to see who they pick. Danielson at 9 was a little bit of a surprise. I'm hoping for Oliver Moore right now because we need some high-end offense. We need some good skating. And let's see what he picks.
All right. What about you, Stammer? Was there anything that surprised you? I mean, I can't remember. Is there a team? Are you a Penguins fan? Are you just a fan of the league, or what are your allegiances like?
I'm with Tim. I'm a Red Wing Red Wing guy. But honestly, I think with the draft in general, there's a reason for players going on specific teams, so we can't really hold our breath towards it because even if we do like the player and he goes to a different team, we'll still go past that edge and still collect them regardless if they're on the team or not. So it's kind of interesting to see who picks what player and how it goes down the road, because you just never know. You can get a superstar and he could be on a team that you would never expect him to be on, and it would just escalate, just like the graph will just go sky high, right? So it's really cool just to see year by year on what the outcome will be through the season.
Well, especially for me being a big goaltender fan, I'm very much kind of taken aback by the lack of first-round goaltender picks just across the league in general. I mean, like, it's just a foregone conclusion most years that no goalie is going to go in the first round. And it's almost like when you're playing fantasy football and you don't take a quarterback until the third round, even if it's the best, like Tom Brady back in his prime, you just don't do it. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, they're the most important if you were to think about it. But anybody, like, I'm really curious about that as a person who hasn't really followed hockey strongly for very long, and I don't really, have a team other than like the Kraken, I suppose, that I really want to see do well. What's the big reasoning behind that? Is it just because there's kind of an unknown when they're drafted, or is it just because it takes them so long to get to the league? Like, what's the deal with them going so late?
To develop in time. That's definitely big in there. Like, for example, Mackenzie Blackwood, I mean, injury issues aside, he just went for a second-round pick and traded like 6 rounds. So, to pick a goalie that high, unless you're Carey Price or, most recent ones have been Askarov to the Preds and Spencer Knight to the Panthers. I mean, you'll get your sprinkles of goalies in the first round, but more often than not, just teams are just not willing to take that type of gamble.
Right.
So soon.
Yeah, it's very much so a thing with how long it takes to develop goaltenders, right? It's just so much time, so much effort into it, and then the lack of knowing whether this person will develop into what they're looking for, right? Everybody's looking for starter, and it's tough to find one nowadays, right? It's not easy. You can find a lot of backups and guys who can share time, but to get that guy who's going to stand out, and the fact that goaltenders kind of come into their prime later on, mid-20s or even later than that, it's just it's one of those factors. It's just like other sports, right? I think football, certain positions get picked very late in the draft as well, even though they're great players. So it's one of those things where it sucks to be a goaltender and getting picked later on, even though hey, I have this much potential, but it just seems like one of those kind of unique things in hockey.
Gotcha. Let's get to a couple of comments here regarding the draft. Appreciate these people being here. Jeez, I wish it would zoom everybody out, but sorry guys.
It's okay.
So at Tampa Bay Home Investors, he's been great showing up here. I can't remember, do they get pick compensation in the NHL if they can't sign their prospect in a situation like with Russians? Anybody got an answer for this one?
I have no clue.
That's a good question, but I do know that the initial contract can expire if they don't come over in the set amount of time. It's kind of like Kaprizov had so many years to sign with his initial draft team before he'd just be released from that obligation or contract if he wanted to come to the NHL. So as far as signing and money goes, I have no idea, but I do know that much. So
we have somebody in here that can keep us updated here. Doug, who we really want to get back on Instagram. Doug, we miss you, dude. We hope you can get your account back. That whoever hacked it, so it feels so terrible for you, man. But I don't know a lot about Fantilli. I've heard of him. Did they give a reason for why they passed on him, or is it just like you guys were saying, not a good fit?
I can't remember the reason that they gave. I can't remember the reason that just Leo Carlson was their guy. Okay.
And they might have just, again, sometimes a system works so much better for other players based on the coaches and other personnel that you have on the team. So, it makes sense. And, yes, thank you, Al. Good. As a fellow teacher telling me that my memory is working correctly when I'm not teaching in the summertime, this is a good thing. So he's just funny. He's like my favorite. I love watching him get angry. Like, he is always pissed off no matter what he's doing. I can't imagine playing for the guy unless it's like maybe a specific style of player just vibes with him well. But I can't imagine.
No wonder Philly's in shambles, right?
I actually threw out an idea the other day. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I said, you know what? They said the Penguins, they just need to blow it up. Trade Jari for Carter Hart, and then get rid of Casey DeSmith. Trade for Marc-Andre Fleury, and have Carter Hart and Fleury play for the Penguins. That would be fun, huh? Get Carter Hart out of Philly. I'd be happy with that.
I would be a fan of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in NHL 2023, I'd make that happen, but I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. It would be awesome, though.
Unfortunately, it's not play your own GM.
Yeah, no doubt. This is a good question for us. Let's go for it here. Tim, I like Tim when he like goes over the
Yeah.
So this is I don't know him quite as well. I mean, I saw World Juniors and stuff like that. Can you guys just go through, like, what percentage do you think, based upon what we saw? Because in my opinion, look a little bit at the former Rangers first-round pick that people were going crazy for. Obviously, all of us were sitting at home, armchair experts, thinking we knew everything about the Rangers' first pick. And, let's talk about that for a minute. But what do you guys think? Is Connor Bedard as sure of a pick as there has ever been since maybe McDavid or before that?
I think the bust factor is very, very low. I think he's evasive and smart enough to get to his spots. I think, if anything, it'll take some time for him to adjust to maybe the physicality of the game, but I think that he has the ability to adjust to that in given time. So I think the bust factor is very, very low for him. I don't know what his point projection is for his rookie season, but Chicago looks like they're willing to do what it takes to at least insulate him. They got Taylor Hall over there, veteran presence to,
I didn't know that.
They added Taylor Hall. So I think that they'll do their best to give themselves and Connor Bedard the best environment and line mates possible to at least thrive.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. So what do you think, Kyle?
I could see him being anywhere between a John Tavares and McDavid. I mean, honestly, worst case scenario, I see him as a production of Tavares, maybe a point per game. Obviously, he has all the skills. I'd maybe just say the skating isn't as good as McDavid or some of these other guys, but everything else is just top of the league already, I'd say. So, not much of a chance to be a bust.
Okay, what about you, Stammer? Where are you at?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Kyle there with the skating department, but I think he's got a very good eye on puck control and where it's going to go. So that's a good key point right on playing, where he foresees what's going on rather than just playing what he thinks he's got to do. He kind of has trust in himself on where that puck's got to go, right? So as long as he keeps doing what he's doing and gets insight from other people in the league, I'm sure he'll do very well.
Well, we got a couple more here. So we got Kelvin in here. What's up, Kelvin? Glad you're watching. Thanks for hanging out. And Tim, you already know this probably, but Kelvin wanted to let you know. Is it Pelika?
Yeah,
Pelika?
we got Axel Sandin Pelika. So basically our Philip Hronik replacement.
I like his name too. That's like a Zarli Zalapski almost type name right there. I like that. And so I'm going to throw this in. This is really interesting. Yep. I mean, everybody's probably thinking, like, can you imagine I know Upper Deck's changes are probably not making people happy, but can you imagine when that 101 shows up somewhere, that 101 Young Guns of Connor Bedard, if he's like even playing half decent at that time, whoever pulls that card better find an auction house or something. And they're going to be really lucky. It's going to be crazy if it happens.
I'm very curious to see whether it'll be a scenario where his cards are just priced way too high out of the gate, or if people just think that they're high and there's still room to grow. Kind of like McDavid. Everybody thought his prices were insane coming out of the gate and then end up being low. So,
right. Well, I don't think anybody expected him to be that good, but yeah, I mean, he's definitely impressed everybody, and he continues to be just like, I just won another MVP, big deal. Yeah, we miss you too, man. Hopefully you figure it out one way or the other. All right, my last question regarding Connor Bedard, and then we're going to move into some Upper Deck cards here. In my mind, I have a player that's kind of like, in my opinion, would be kind of the floor for him. I think his floor is Trevor Zegras. right now. Like next year, Trevor Zegras, good goal scorer, not on a really good team, doesn't really do a whole lot defensively, but like just has a few plays throughout the season that makes you go, oh my gosh, this guy's crazy. Because you imagine like Trevor Zegras on like, like I don't know, on Vegas, but like a high scoring team on New York or somewhere where he's just free and skating all over the place. I mean, he would be crazy, I would think. But I think that's my ceiling for him. But what would you guys say, or my floor? So what is the ceiling for Connor Bedard next year? Give me a player who represents what his ceiling will be in his rookie season.
DeBrincat?
DeBrincat?
Another great shooter. Because I'm just thinking shot, DeBrincat, Bedard.
Okay, that's a good one.
Maybe I'll throw it back a little bit further and say Stammer. So Stamkos.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Nice. Oh, that's Stamkos. I thought you were talking about Ralph.
Yeah.
I didn't know how good he was back
No, I'm
in
not
the
that good, man. I'm not that good.
Okay. Wow. I was like, wow. I didn't know we had. All right, cool. Nice. What about you, Ralph? What are you thinking here, man? What's the ceiling for him next season?
Well, I don't know about the Stamkos feel, just because like with like the talent Stamkos got is kind of like raising the bar, I think, a little too high. I think like on Tim's, like on DeBrincat, like he's got that good eye on where that puck's got to go, and like you can't really foresee it, of course, right? But I think that type of level of playing probably would be a good start, just until he starts getting warmed up and gets to understand what the league's got for him, because it's going to be a next level of speed, right? So he's going to get in there. He's going to be like, whoa, I got to turn up the dial just a little bit, right? And I got to go with the rest of the guys here, right? I got to turn on the turbochargers. Let's go.
Right. Well, I would like to see, just to make a Minnesota reference, I would like to see him play like when Matt Boldy is like scoring goals like crazy. I would love to see him at that level where he's just, has a few streaks, like 2-goal games. You know what I mean? Because teams are going to be able to key in on him so much. Like Tim was saying, if they don't surround him with enough veteran players, he's going to be their only threat. And at times it feels like with the Ducks, you see Trevor Zegras do these incredible shots in the shootout where he just like completely makes the goalie fall out of his, his drawers. But like he has no room to do that in a game because they're so terrible. So hopefully he's got some protection and he's able to make some stuff happen. So it'll be exciting, especially when his first cards come out. If Lafreniere's cards his young guns were like $300 out the gate pre-sale, it was like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. Let's hope it doesn't go that crazy. But I'm thinking the first 100, 200 people that pull his cards are going to try to do whatever they can to get $500-$600 out of them, out of the young guns, which whatever. So that's not till series 2 though, right? Because like if we're lucky, series 2, so that would be far into the season. We're 2-3 months in by the time we see it, so plenty of time to build up some hype, especially if he's playing well. But anyways, let's get into some cards, shall we? That's what we're here to talk about. And again, like I mentioned, not everywhere, but I just feel like I'm seeing a little bit more negativity as of late, and I think that's why we're here, right? We're here for hockey cards. I think hockey cards are amazing. I think they're the best of any sport. They're the most unique. People are going to complain all they want about upper decks, this and that, but I think every now and then they hit a design where it's just like, oh my gosh, this is the best. I've got to have this. Like, think about that feeling you guys have when you saw that card for the first time. Kyle, not going to, steal your thunder, but there's a certain set that I know you saw for the first time and you were like, whoa, this is it.
You got me.
Tim and I have talked about this. Stammer, I know maybe certain sets where Yager was in, and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is a gotta have it card. You know what I mean? So I thought we would just kind of bounce it back and forth, and feel free to share your opinion. Like, does this card do anything for you? Does it not? You can talk about why you like it. And kind of the thought of like when people come around and watch this, on the recorded side of things, that they'll see some cards, maybe go hunt for them themselves, see if there are players in it, So I'm going to throw this one to, since I kind of went to Kyle, I was like, stole his thunder. Kyle, what's the very first card that came to mind when I said over the last 10 years of Upper Deck releases, first card that you said, this has everything for me as a collector?
Well, it has to be Upper Deck Synergy. And I mean, I have to be the closest to a complete set of that than anything else currently. And Here, I'll pull out some of the cards I set aside from this. So there's 2 years that I specifically um, just absolutely adore for the design, for the numbering, and it would be the 2017 18. So that's the first year of Upper Deck. So it's very interesting. The cards have kind of a old school essential credentials feel. Basically, it's a acetate with a die cut cardstock with the hollow foil on it. And what's crazy about these, I don't know if I can get it in there. So it says 707. The base set is actually the rarest base sets, I think, in hockey card history. And just the print run alone for the first year, which is it's a little bit weird for the numbering because you're talking different numbering for vets, legends, and then 2 different types of rookies. So they start off with the vets being to 17 for the true base, and the legends to 7. And then the rookies are 1 up from that. So you'll have the tier 3 rookies or the top 10 rookies for the class being to 8, and then everybody else to 18. And then the next year, which I have the Gretzky for, so the legends were numbered 1 more, so to 8. And same thing with the vets and the rookies, and just different design, as you can see. Different die cuts, different style altogether, but still just very clean and I don't know, captivating, honestly, in my opinion. It's one of those things where a lot of people will either hate or love like card tech that's ahead of its time. And some of it's a hit, some of it's a miss. I think this is a hit. Mind you, there's a lot in Synergy that isn't a hit. I find a lot of the parallels associated with it that seem to look like the base cards because they come more frequently than the true base. Are miss. Not really for me. Minus the first year purples, which are for the legends here. I believe they're 1 in a few cases, maybe 3 or 4 for one of these. And then some of the rookies, same thing. And then occasionally, every year, there's, well, not occasionally, but there's generally 1 to 2 really good super short print inserts out of Synergy that you can find. They're just very, very unique. I mean, I don't have the one that's glow in the dark, but interesting, very interesting, glow in the dark. But I do have this one from the first year of Synergy there, 2017-18. And these are color shifts. And if you take them into sunlight, they actually change color. So
that's awesome.
Very cool.
Super short print, very neat. They have rookies and superstars in that insert set. So just all-time favorites, modern set for me, and yeah, I can't get enough of it. I do love the newer years, but the first 2 really resonate with me. So,
well, I'll just go off and say that. Sorry, Tim. I was just going to say real quick the EX comparison. When I got into hockey, that was the second year of Fleury. And he did. Kyle actually hit me up right after I bought it off ComC. He goes, "Hey, are you going to trade that?" And then Logan ended up getting the other copy that I sent him, and you bought it from him. So I'm glad you were able to get it. But it just had that EX vibe. If any of you guys have seen 1999 EX Century baseball or football or basketball, that even the base cards, like some of the most gorgeous cards ever made, it gives me that vibe. And then the inserts, you got the Cast of Greatness, the metal inserts. I know they do them every year, so maybe they're a bit watered down, but just like it reminds me of the 90s, that release. And it's actually kind of cheap. So I think it's a huge win for Upper Deck. When Mitch Grotman says that he's a fan of a set that's not the cup, you know that Upper Deck's doing something right. And he said that he liked this year's Synergy. So holy moly.
Hey, you go back to some of the older years of Synergy. If you want break boxes, it is super cheap, right? So it's not expensive to find them, and they're in abundance because not a lot of people ripped them. A lot of people didn't enjoy it off the bat. So
What about you guys? Where do you guys feel about synergy, especially the clears, the true base, the low numbered?
Yep. I have a Philip Roenick right behind me that I pulled out just for this, 1718. Mine is jersey numbered. His is 17 out of 18. But I'm with
Nice.
Kyle. In addition to the ones that he was talking about, the true base parallels, I love some years the purples were numbered out of the jersey number.
Yep.
I'm not sure if the most recent years do that, but the ones that they have it out of the jersey number, that's what I've been focusing on because you already know what I do. So I have a couple behind me. Like, for example, I think I have Jordan Kiru's purple rookie 33 out of 33. That's his jersey number, dual jersey
beautiful.
number. Yeah. And then just to show the Roenick.
Is it acetate?
Let me see.
I would say so.
Not completely. I mean,
the side, right?
Talking about the Kiru, it's like a solid purple, but it has like a bit of that. Is it plexiglass or acetate?
It's
really the purple.
It's colored acetate instead of the clear. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Got it.
And as an homage to Kyle, this is my Roenick.
Oh yeah, Kyle.
My stamp of approval. Yeah.
I love
and that and that's see through on the right side, right, where it says rookie. It's see through. Yeah, right on.
Mm-hmm. Yep, see through on that.
Very nice.
I'm just gonna pull up a picture real quick. Now, I do want to say that the first year Fleury is autographed, and it's just like this ugly sticker across it. I'm just like, can I just like take it off and have that be the like? Come on, guys! Like it just totally ruins the card. You know what I mean? But
like I said, definitely portions of synergy that just are a big mess, and that was one of them. The sticker autos, and yeah.
But those cards, those true base are some of my big chase cards every year that Fleury's in it, and they get scooped up extremely fast. So, and I know why now because Kyle's here. So I've been sitting here begging him before the show, like, don't buy the Fleury. But no, I think it's awesome because you're right. It's probably the lowest numbered base set that comes out every year, and if you got a big rookie in there, that's a huge chase card, man. I think they're slept on. I think that set is slept on, and hopefully this doesn't bump up the popularity of that set. Now Kyle's going to have more competition.
Yeah. And anybody watching, please, I need a Pedersen, Elias Pedersen.
We got to track that down for you, man.
Matt, did you ever get the Fleury 29 out of 29 I sent you a while back?
No, I think for me, I already had a copy, which would mean I need to buy that and then sell the other one, which, you know, sometimes selling to other player collectors is good, but it can also be a little bit. I just was like, somebody else that loves jersey numbered can grab it. But for jersey number, I just run into them. If I run into them, I do. If not, then I just, I arrive the same time as Alex. So, so name just made it. Alex just had Christmas happen again at the house. He got his huge shipment of cards in. We got to get him on the show to talk about that. Kyle, can you explain this to me? What does GF stand for?
All grand finale cards.
The grand finale. Well, yes. He's stealing your thunder.
The 90s, yeah.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that later. Yeah, we can't get to that now because we're in the wrong, but
another episode.
We'll get to this question at the end, Tampa. Okay, we'll close with that, so I won't forget to come back to it. Stammer, what about you, dude? What's the first card that came to mind that you wanted to highlight as being a big, win for Upper Deck?
I think, like as you were stating before, how they were taking sets from different sports and kind of crossing them over to the hockey genre, and it's worked both ways, right? So I think the first card that I thought of was this Yager Exquisite. It's a LeBron James tribute year.
Yeah, that's a beauty.
So
Exquisite patch auto. Yeah, out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's from 1819, but it registered from the first year that he was a rookie, and it followed the same design, even like on how it is, like the overall like backing of the card, very similar.
Right.
And when they did the following year of the same product, they changed it altogether, so it didn't really follow that same flair, right? So like for instance, like for Cup when they do the 05, 06 tributes, they follow the same pattern, right? And they keep it nostalgic, right? So it keeps you to remember that amazing subset that they had before, right? So I think I'm very keen on those crossovers. They're pretty cool. They're pretty neat, and you don't really see too much of that. And it's kind of like kind of interesting. Kind of reminds me of like a little bit of like an Easter egg, right? Because you don't really not gonna expect it in a product, and it's like, well, really, they took a design from this specific year and they put it in here, right? And normally when they do that, they normally go with a short print in general when they normally do it. So it's kind of neat that they do.
Right. Well, especially because that came out in ice, right? That came out in ice that year. So you imagine ice is not really like a heavy hitter product, and you're blind luck if you run into an ice Premier out of 99, let alone an exquisite patch auto. So I think that it's like an extra little surprise when you pull an exquisite out of an ice pack. They're always so nice, but I'm with you. I would rather them keep doing some retro sets. Tim, Kyle, are you guys into the bringing, designs from basketball or from football into the hockey world? Because I know some people are like, nah, dude, like originality, like don't be crossing over. I'm a big fan of that year, especially the base cards that they copied from basketball. Those look awesome. But what do you guys think?
I love it personally, and I'm definitely on the exquisite train. If I had enough money to buy all the sets I wanted, exquisite would definitely be up there. I'm generally not the patch auto guy, but that set is definitely top of the list for anything patch autos. And just every year, I appreciate how they brought it back and into hockey, and then definitely kept the quality up and made the design beautiful. I find some of the cup designs can get really stale some years, but I've never found that with exquisite. And it's just a nice value added to some of these other products that they insert them into. There is one year that I actually try and pick up the occasional card from the exquisite set, and that's 2015-16, the signature materials. I really like those. So I try to pick up the occasional one here and there. So
How about you, Tim? You big fan of the sport crossovers?
Yep. No, I can dig it, and I like it. For example, I think the Moritz Seider exquisite rookie patch auto out of 5, I believe, was recently pulled, and it's just a stunner. It's a beauty, So every year, I do appreciate exquisite every year, and I do try to find maybe not the patch autos because that's out of my price range, but I do like the base rookies. Like for example, back in 2018-19, I got my Zadina base rookie jersey number. I just finished getting in. Kelvin has it in the mail for me, but I got my Lucas Raymond jersey numbered exquisite base rookie.
Sick.
It really looks like they did a really good job with the design with the powder blue, the hollow foil powder blue on the background there. So I always like the high-end design from exquisite. So I'm all for it.
If any of you guys follow a Roundtable member, Lomac12 Logan, he loves exquisite cards, and he's got some of the nicest Patrick Kane exquisite. And I think he made me become a bigger fan of them, especially that 1 out of 10 that I'm still chasing down, that gold exquisite out of 10. It's just there's something about those designs that are they're very elegant, but like you said, they're high end. They catch your eye. I mean, Ralph, the first time you saw that Yager, I don't know if you bought it on eBay or if it was at a car show, but you definitely stopped and looked again, like, whoa, what is this? And I know the Flurry that I bought, I'm glad you did that, because I was like, do I put this in there? And somebody's got to have that. Like, that's too nice of a card. But I remember, I think I made 4 offers because the guy had been gone but didn't mark himself away on eBay. And I'd send him messages, and he finally came back. He's like, I'm so sorry I've been gone. Yeah, I'll send this offer. I'll accept it. I was like, yes. Like, it's such a nice card. So beautiful design. Tim, you want to go next? Those are two really good cards to follow, but good luck.
Yeah, no, I already knew my choice, my number 1 choice. I already knew it right off the bat. O-Pee-Chee Platinum, that is my go-to. We've talked about it before. My favorite parallel and OPC Platinum.
Kyle's another
Almost.
seal of approval. He's loving this.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So for me, I have a good handful, but the two that really strike out to me the most are my two Ahos. They're both jersey number 20 out of 50. I try to go for jersey numbered seismic golds just for fun, especially if it's a player that I collect. So that's what I try to do every year. But like whenever I saw that card in particular, the seismic golds, I thought to myself, like, that design, if we're just taking the numbering out of it, and if I'm designing the set myself and I'm upper deck, I'm putting the seismic gold as the one of one over the design of the golden treasures. That's how much I personally enjoy the design.
Nice.
You know, because I have a golden treasures of Aho, and even though I love it, it's a one of one. If I'm just like getting visual satisfaction from looking at a card, it's the seismic gold that I would look at more.
It's the best looking one. Yep. I mean, hands down. I know everybody Emerald Surges have all this hype behind them. I'll take a seismic gold over an Emerald Surge or an orange checkers any day of the week.
Yep. You read my mind, Tim, too, because I have the first year there, the 14, 15, the Crosby and the OV here on standby. So.
I literally, I think there was like 4 different ones. I was like, how do I choose one? Like, I like last year's a lot, I think the most, and then like the second year a lot. Like, you know what? Somebody's got to have that one too. So yeah, you guys are on it. Good choice, man. Great choices so far. And I think the seismic gold, you know what's interesting is I feel like those tend to command very close prices to the orange checkers. Like if you look at not a rookie, right? Like I think because of a rookie, you're going to have some different tiers and prices. But if you were to take, you know, a mid-star, like maybe not the top guys, but most of the guys like Fleury, I think the orange checkers is maybe like 1.25 times the amount of a gold or not golden treasures, but a seismic gold. Like they're that desirable. And they always cause a hype when they show up on eBay. It's like, oh, somebody listed a whole set of seismic golds, you know. It's a pretty big deal.
It's that gold prestige, right?
That's right.
The prisms, the seismic gold, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, I'm not going to follow up with the one that I have that has gold on it, but I think for me, I'm always a fan of different colored ink on cards. I've always thought that was cool. If you can, a lot of people will say the color coded are some of the coolest, most unique. Fleury's color coded is not cool because they didn't use a gold pen. I mean, I think that's as easy as a slam dunk Golden Knights gold pin. I don't know what the heck they were thinking. It's like a white pin or something. So I don't own one. But for me, I'm always big on like the acetate or like nice clear finish, and the Artifacts Honored Hopefuls. Those are some of the nicest looking autograph cards that I've ever seen. And I was so lucky that a guy from Australia, Daniel Remington, he decided to trade this to me for the color coded and a really nice Jari rookie auto.
That is beautiful.
But it's just like the way that the editing is done on there, where it kind of fades out of the player into the background here, and the sharp silver pen, it's not too thick, right? It's not that like real thick blue or whatever. It's a nice thin pen. It's very sharp, and the hollow foil on the whole design and the numbering. And Tim, too bad it's not 29 out of 29. Huh? That would be better. But I think personally, I know there's a guy that's trying to finish the set. The other day it was funny. Somebody said, "Oh, how come you don't have this in your display case? Did you sell it?" I'm like, "Are you crazy?" But the guy was building the set, and he was like, "You better not sell that thing to anybody else." So I think these are one of the best looking autographs that Upper Deck's ever done in the last 10 years. Personally, I know a lot of people like the old school big white area sign it. Like, okay, cool. Like exquisite autos are always great, but this. I don't even think they've done this in the last 2 or 3 years of Artifacts. It was supposed to continue on, right? It was supposed to be a set that continued to be built upon, but they've kind of just cut it off. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this up there as far as one of the nicer autographs you've seen?
Yeah, I'd say top 3. I think, in my opinion, I think like I'd go with that. And I think the show has some nice big bold autos. They look very nice. And then lastly, I would have to say, what would it be? The renditions that Cup does. Those look very nice. Like, don't get me wrong, some of them they don't look too well, but like normally when they keep it between 1 to 2 players, it's nice. You see some of them which have like 4 players on it, and it kind of like it disturbs the whole card. That's just my opinion, though.
Though I almost put one of those in there too. And I do love the candid photos that they do on there, and some of the editing, like the Cujo that I used to own, just beautiful editing and darken up the image and blue pen. It was just, yeah, I'm excited for them to hopefully do more. What about you, Kyle? Where are you at? Because I don't know if you're a huge autograph collector necessarily, but like, where does that one check the box as far as like if I wanted one, you wanted one, you'd probably grab it?
Yeah, I'm like you said, I'm not an autograph collector, but when designs are that well thought out of and there's that much attention to detail brought to the card like that, just the black, the ink use, the kind of detail of the holofoil on each point, and just the tiny details, that's just an absolutely stunning card. And it's crazy how it comes out Artifacts, which produces very few gems of cards, right? I mean, you could go into a Walmart, buy retail, and you just paid $30 for base cards, right? Like Artifacts is not one of the products you think of when you think of, hey, I'm gonna get some really interesting stuff. So, and that is, and it's just incredible how there's a couple others in Artifacts, but that's definitely the top of that product, what's being released out of that. So.
Still haven't seen one for sale in the open market of Fleury. I don't know if you guys have this. Like when you get that dream card and you're like, when the next one shows up, you're like, ooh, did I get a good deal? Or like, where's it going to fall? Like, I can't wait to see what that card does, especially post-retirement or post-Hall of Fame. I think that card's going to be completely bonkers. But, you know, if he was in a Penguins uniform, then it would be even crazier. But I'm biased in that way. Now, Tim, I know that you kind of are all over when it comes to autographs too, and maybe you have another autograph set. But I think when it comes to autographs, we're all fans, right, Tim, of like the on-card autograph over everything else.
For sure.
Yeah. So where was I going to go with this? So, yeah, I think as far as the holofoil too, I think you can't beat that. But we're all fans of shiny stuff, so that checks that box as well. All right, so let's go to round 2. I think we're all in agreement with where we all went with these first choices. You can't go wrong. I do want to say that Doug said, where would you guys rank the Cup rookie tributes with the old 0506 design? I know at least a couple of you have one. Yes, sure do. I didn't put it in here because I've shown that card too many stinking times. It's just like it's my it's in my what do I say? My Mount Rushmore cards. So yeah, it's nuts.
I do like the cup design from 0506.
Oh yeah,
it's definitely one of the best
He
ones.
had a lot of them.
When you're talking about tributes, though, like when you see that card, you first think of the Crosby and the Ovechkin, and then you think of like, oh, my player who would never have one of those now has one, right? So it's like there's always going to be that little bit. Now, I have heard people say, well, they do it every year. They need to switch it up because they've done other years in the past. It would be nice to see if there was a nice rotation. Was it Reed that did a poll on the best RPA design of all time, right? And 1920 actually made it. Did it win? Did it win the whole thing, or did it make it to the finals? I can't remember, Tim. You were watching that, right?
Wait, what in particular?
So Reed in his story did like a bracket, right? And he took every RPA that's ever come out in the Cup, and he did a vote, and it came all the way down to like 1920, and I think the Crosby year in 1920, I think won, unless my memory has now gone awry. I would like to see. I mean, you know, what's that?
I said my memory's worse. I can't remember. I know that he did the bracket. I can't remember who finished. Right. You know, who won.
Right. Well, we've got Alex and Name and some other people who've got good memories. So unless Reed is watching, it would be nice to know if that was true. But it'd be great to see some of the more recent ones come back in. Why not? I mean, mix it up, right? But I think that will always be king of like the OG amazing design that everybody's going to love more than anything. So, Kyle, you want to go next? What do we got for round 2?
Sure. You know what? I'll go for a surprise, something you wouldn't think, because not only do I like super rare stuff, but I also like fun, rare value cards. And I'm gonna go with Parkhurst, the Upper Deck Parkhurst set. So I got 2 cards from there. So one's was at 1718. So this is a insert rookie set, and they're prominent prospects, and they're the reds. I find the red has the cleanest and the nicest background for the card make. So they had these in 16, 17 as well. I used to have a Matthews, and I believe they're to 199. Yeah, so 199.
Beautiful
And
cards, man.
just some fun, shiny, cheap cards that you can get that are interesting. And I mean, the product's so cheap you can rip it out of Walmart's or buy them for basically pennies in comparison to other cards. And then the very short print cards are the Tis the Season. I believe they have these every year. Yeah, so this is the 16-17 Crosby. They have guys like Wayne, Ovechkin, McDavid for all the years, and the different designs over the years. There's a few really good ones, maybe a couple misses, but I find they're really intriguing. And considering how short print they are for such a cheap retail set, I don't know, it always kind of intrigues me, stuff like that. So.
I love seeing that, man. I love when you can get a really cheap release. I mean, Synergy can be kind of considered that, right? But I think the clear true base aren't as sneaky. But I love seeing that. I mean, that Tis the Season. I'm still looking for one of my player. I've never seen it for sale. I didn't even know it existed till I was going through Kendall's website. I'm like, wait, what? What is this?
They barely come up. It's incredible. Yeah,
right.
It's tough to find, and sometimes they're just a little bit of the price range you want to pay, right? So.
All right, well, when it's that short print though, you gotta pony up sometimes because who knows how long it's going to be until you see one again. But Ralph and Tim, can you name a cheaper release that has a card top of your head that you really like? I mean, it doesn't have to be as spectacular as the Tis the Season, but just like a product that would maybe be like unbeknownst to most people, like, wow, like this is actually pretty cool.
Well, for me, I go back to O-Pee-Chee, just a regular O-Pee-Chee set, and then the Easter eggs that they have.
Right.
I don't know the price range on Tis the Seasons, but what I pulled out in advance were these 3D marquee rookies. Like I have my Lucas Raymond.
Oh, yeah.
I love lenticular, and even though it doesn't really, move as much as I would like to, this is something that I've been liking that Upper Deck's been putting out. That comes out of a cheap product of O-Pee-Chee, right? So that's one of my picks.
That's a good one. No, I've always kind of wanted to grab like a Spencer Knight or a Swayman, but just a little too expensive for like a side PC card.
Exactly. And if I could throw one more out there, because I think this also came from O-Pee-Chee, and Kyle was talking about Glow in the Dark. These O-Pee-Chees are some of my favorite cards since we're talking about 2013. Like, I just wish neon, I mean, not neon, but glow in the dark cards would be utilized a little bit more often.
Yes.
And it's only from that one place of Synergy and this one that we get our glow in the dark fix.
That's right. Those O-Pee-Chee sets are serious sleepers with the Easter eggs, those SSPs. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you had the glow peachy and all that, and I have a couple of the they had mini cards, so like kind of tobacco, smaller than the tobacco size, and then they had the Easter egg hand numbered to 27.
Yep.
And then there's one of the Woodies. Yeah, those were another unique one too. So.
They all look awesome, man. You know what I mean? I know they're kind of expensive, but for how sweet those are, if they threw those in some high-end product, it would be so much more expensive. So I mean, they're definitely worth it when you see how tough they are to pull your player. You know.
Oh yeah.
What about you, Stammer? Is there a cheaper one that kind of I don't know? I saw you reach over there. Did you find something?
No, I was trying to. I couldn't really find anything, but I really dig the Fleur retro set. I really dig that. Just all the designs, like the EXs, the Fleur Showcase, the Diamond variants. They're all pretty neat concept on how they have it. EX got that little bit of got that little acetate glow on it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool how they changed it. Like they didn't really keep what do you call it? They didn't keep like a type of system for the product. You know how they keep it like organized and they have a flow of the product. They kind of went, oh, we're going to do some acetate here. We're going to do like some electrifying background over here. We're going to do this over here. So they kind of made it for everyone, right? So I really enjoy that product. I opened quite a bit of it back in the day too. So I think that's one of my favorite sets from that time. Yeah.
And it was, everybody forgets like how expensive those PMGs and stuff are now. That was a cheap product because nobody wanted to buy it after release. They're like, what is this? Like, there's no good autos, blah, 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 no game used. Because that's what everybody cared about 10 years ago. And nowadays, you can't find a box for under probably $1,000, I would think. It'd be so expensive. But no thanks. But perfect cheap product when nobody cared about it. I mean, that's a great point to bring up there. So I think we went, Tim, are you next on this? Or no, I went Kyle, Stammer, and then Tim, right? Yeah. So Stammer, what do you got next for us? What was your number 2 highlight from Upper Deck last 10 years?
Like how we were talking about, well, two different products I like to talk about. We're talking about like the tributes before. So I'm very big on the tributes itself. Excuse me. I really dig like Premier product. Very big on it. I really loved how they brought the tributes from Zetterberg's rookie year. So I have another Yager here. This one's a gold version out of 5.
Nice.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yep. I love that design, man.
Yeah, man. I really dig it. I pretty much like I try and chase all the super rookies from that year if I can get them. And then also very underrated, I think. I know there's like a couple groups that collect them, but like I really dig these jumbo patches.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Like such
Beautiful
a big
patch.
window, the nice gold foil on it.
Yep.
Like everything's like aesthetically like on point. Like even like the player on the top left there, it's on like that perfect spot where he's there. He hasn't disappeared from the card, right?
Right. I think that gives a really good Panini Prime vibe because I know those are. I was so happy to track some of those down. They're like to get a patch that big. Are you kidding me? Like I'm not doing it to try to build the thing like some people do, which is great. But having one of them, knowing it came from a game used jersey, I'm glad that Premier is continuing those jumbo patches. I mean, they're quite expensive, which is fine. I've not got one yet, but the designs are always really clean, and to get a piece of a jersey that big that a player's worn in a game, especially an all-star jersey, I mean, come on, man, like that's the best thing you could get from back in those days. Kyle and Tim, what are your guys' thoughts on Premier and some of the stuff they are putting out still?
I personally love Premier. That's one of my more favorite mid-tier sets. I pulled out a couple. I have the Zetterberg Retribute out of 5. So when I saw that Yager, that's what I immediately went to. And that's the year that I loved the most. So I loved how they did that. I think multiple years they reused the 2002-03 Premier design. I think they did it in 2014-15, 2016-17. So I personally love how they went to the well on that one. I love the acetate finish on the base rookie patch autos. I love the design for that. So I'm with Premier.
Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
I do think it's a good product, especially for the value, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't think of buying Premier, and especially once the singles come out, everybody's trying to chase a cup and the Future Watch autos, so it kind of gets left in the cracks. And you got acetate. Generally, they have really nice patches involved, and yeah, just the throwbacks they can do. That 0203 is definitely one of the highlights, just because it really is an iconic design. That was kind of back when I started collecting, right? That's kind of Kovalchuk era back then. So yeah,
good times, man.
Good design,
simpler times. Well, I mean, if we could have gone back to like 2000 on, I definitely would have had an 0809, quad patch auto. I think those are one of the remnants. I think those, even just the jersey remnants, are incredible. I just love that set so much. If I was going to pull a Kyle and like collect the set, that would be it. But it would be impossible now, right? There's no way you're digging up more than a couple random ones a month if you're lucky. So yeah, great choice on that one, Stammer. I mean, who doesn't love gigantic patches with a good picture of their player, even if it's a smaller one? So yeah, awesome choice. What about you, Tim? Where are we going next?
All right. So when I thought of this theme that we've been doing, I always try to go back to the cards or subsets that I try to follow year in and year out.
Mm-hmm.
So what I like is Skybox Premier or Premium Prospect cards. I particularly try to go for the red star rubies out of 50. And so that's what I go to pretty much each year. If I could find a jersey numbered rookie of maybe somebody that catches my eye or a player that I collect, I go for it. So for example, over here, I have the Aho 20 out of 50 rookie. And then over here, I have my brother, Timothy Lilligren, 37 out of 50. And I just picked up a Dawson Mercer earlier this week, 18 out of 50 jersey number. But what I love the most are the greens. And so here I have the Moritz Sider out of 10. Wow. And it's just it's the design for me. It's the elegance, it's the simplicity of it, the shine factor, of course. For me, it's what I go to more so than maybe even the PMGs themselves. I just like the design over the PMG design, so that's what I go back to pretty much every year for myself.
Well, that sparkly foil on those is so beautiful too. I mean, obviously our cameras are never going to do justice to how amazing most of these cards are, or a scanner for that matter. But Kyle and Stammer, have you guys seen some of those, the foil they use on those Skybox Premium rookies?
Oh, I've owned quite a few, so I love them. They're beautiful. They're fantastic cards, and definitely an homage, right, to some of the older basketball too. So
some good sets, man. Those rubies out of 50 back in 99 and 2000, some of the nicest cards you could want to find from the 90s. What about you, Stammer? Is that you a big fan of the Skybox stuff that they throw in Metal? I know Metal Universe is kind of getting a little watered down. Some people are starting to ho and hum about it, but what do you think?
Yeah, like newer Metal, I'm not too big on. Older releases, much better. It's kind of funny how you talk about like the camera doesn't do it justice by looking at the card, and that's so true. Like even if you're even online and let's say you're searching on like eBay or something and you're looking at the card, you still cannot like you think it is what it is until it actually comes in. Right. So like a perfect example of that was like for me, like different products, still Upper Deck, but like for like Chronology, first year Chronology, like I collect Shanahan, and there's one Shanahan in the set, and I never really seen what these parallels look like at the shows and so forth. So I never really knew. I always thought they were so blah. I thought they were just a card and it just had a patch auto on it. But I was like, you know what? I got it at a decent price. But like, it's really hard to say because like if you look at this card, you just think it's just a yellow card or a gold card with the patch auto. But like, if you actually had this in your hand, it actually like really pops out to you. Like all of the etching on the foiling around the border of the card really like pops out to you. But you wouldn't really think about that. So it's like you had to take that risk and go, wow, this is even better than I thought that it would be, right? So you don't really know what you're gonna really get into, and that's what makes the hobby interesting because you're taking your gut feeling on accepting what you think that you like, right?
Mm-hmm. And can I be honest with you? Like, just to piggyback off what Ralph was saying, when I first saw those Chronology cards, what he was saying that people think when they first see it, that's what I thought. I thought it was just a regular, bland-looking card, but I have yet to see it in person. So yeah, I would look forward to one day seeing a chronology card in person. Maybe that, if I go to a show, I would see one of those Shanahans, and maybe I would think differently of it. But there is something to say as far as designs translating over scans and pictures, because sometimes they don't, and we have an Epson scanner, right? And they do very well for certain things, but sometimes it might not get that full shine. So maybe you need to, instead of using a scanner, you need to use a phone at a certain angle. Like different mediums or that you use can have different translations as to how good a card would look,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's just like the lenticulars, right? How are you gonna show that without a video, right? So
exactly.
or the etching, right? The three-dimensional aspect of a card. So just a few aspects that could really attract somebody to a card that might not be able to be seen unless it's in hand or in person when you're seeing it. So yeah, there's aspects where you don't think about it, right? You may think, hey, this card's all right, it's average, and then you get it in hand. It was kind of like jambalayas for myself. I thought, what's all the hype, and then you see it in person, and you're like, whoa, wow, blown away, type of deal. So
that is even the perfect one. Go on, Matt.
No, I was gonna. Sorry, Tim, but I was gonna say even the Synergy clears. I mean, they have that little bit of foiling, that little rainbow foil on there, but if you don't move it, you'll have no idea, because the scan will not do that justice. In no way does it show how much nicer they are than they look, And right, Tim, like even the jambalayas, Tim, when you looked at jambalaya, it looked like it was kind of coming out of the card. It was crazy.
Yeah,
the first time I saw it.
I had for so many years, I've seen jambalayas in person. And then I managed to get a Huberdeau last year, and in person, it was completely different than what I saw in scans. I did not know that it had almost like a lenticular feel to it. I had no clue.
Right.
So when I got it in hand, it made me appreciate the card much more.
Sometimes that's what it takes. I mean, the first thing that came to mind, I think most people aren't going to know about these. Kyle, this is right up your alley. So, I mean, if you're looking for another cheap, you said Parkhurst, and I wanted to wait, but if anybody knows anything about EPAC, you'll know what those are. If you don't know about EPAC, you're going to think, what's so special about this card? Now, you can see this. It looks kind of nice, right? Gold pads, all-star game, gold background, cool. But what you can't tell is there's a bunch of etching in this gold here, and then this etching has rainbow foil on it as well. So when I got this thing in hand from ComC, I actually have a video of it. I posted on the YouTube channel here. I was shocked. I stopped and set it down and grabbed it one touch. It just looks so much. I couldn't believe it when I got it in hand. So I think that's just what Tim's talking about. You get a scan and it doesn't do it justice. This is a perfect example of how nice the gold EPAC exclusives are from that year.
I'm actually familiar with that year and those specific cards too, right? Not just those, but the platinum 101s. I for the longest time I wanted to grab one to see what it would look like in person, but then I ended up meeting somebody who had a couple and saw them in person. Yeah, wow, they kind of blow you away in person. So
right. I love that subtle stuff, man. It's the best. Before I get to mine, Stammer, were you looking for an example that kind of fell into that that category you were talking about?
Yeah, like how Kyle was saying, on the jambalayas, it's kind of interesting. Kind of reminds me of a little bit like how Chronology does those canvas masterpieces. Got that textured feel to it. Of course, it doesn't have the jambalaya, whoa, look, I got a jambalaya, right? It doesn't have that aspect, but it's got that type of it's framed, right? It looks like a framed, like a framed painting, because I like how they do the border on it. So it's kind of like jambalaya, but obviously jambalaya's got a lot more intricate designing going on in the middle there, right?
And then on top of that, right, it's the canvas ones that have the kind of almost like the waffle pattern, right?
Yeah.
Along with the different materials. So yeah, things you don't see, right, in scans or photos on eBay or Instagram. So
I think a lot of people miss out. We're talking about just highlights, right? Some of the nicest cards we've seen. I think half of these cards we've mentioned, including some of the more subtle ones that we've talked about, are cards people have seen scans of and go, meh, or they don't even know about them. Like, what is this thing special? Like, 'tis the season or whatever. Somebody's gonna say that's the most gimmicky card. Get out of here. They don't know how rare it is. They don't know how nice it is in hand. They probably get passed out or passed up on so many times. Like, more for us, right? Thank you very much.
Yep.
This kind of goes in line with Canvas a little bit, but I'm a big fan of art in general. Like, I just like seeing art put into cards. I think lately, shamefully, but not shamefully admitting that Final Fantasy has now taken me into the Star Wars and Marvel realm of cards, which is like, geez, this is a whole nother box of worms, But like artistically, Star Wars has that set. I think it's called Masterpieces or something like that, or Galaxy. And it's all of them are artists did the drawings, and that's their rendition of like a scene from the movies that we all love, the originals, right? The first three. And so for me, like seeing an artistic version of my favorite player, I think you guys know where I'm going with this. I think that takes the cake. And I think and just in the grand scheme of things, the Fanimations, the early Fanimations, I know the Aho, I've probably passed on 3 of them, and hopefully Tim has one, but
I wish I did.
They're just so nice, man. Like, they're so unique and I know I see Stammer's got one too. Like, they're so unique as far as having a different take on what your player would look like in an artist's eyes, right? Like, kind of like the sketch cards that you're seeing now that Topps is doing. So for me, I think the Fanimations, the early Fanimations, not the edited photos, the actual art versions of these players, are some of the best cards. And I know people like them, but I still think they're underrated for how tough they are. So had to make sure I showed these.
So that's like the basketball for the downtowns, right? That's that'd be pretty close to that type of subset.
Yep.
It's pretty it'd be pretty cool if they actually got, like, as you were saying, like how Topps is doing artists on doing artwork for specific sets. Like Upper Deck does it as well. Like this is from like an Alien product here. Like, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, sick. That's awesome.
Ooh. Alien's one of my favorite movies.
So that's from like Alien 3, where she first meets the alien dog, right?
Yeah.
In the medical lab. So yeah, they all have their own take, and it's interesting because every artist, you're gonna be drawn to whatever like art you like, right? So everyone's gonna have their own taste of what they're gonna pick up. It's not like, oh, I gotta get the top artist. It won't really work like that, because you're just gonna be like, oh, that's a cool looking sketch. I want to pick it up, right? That's how I look at it.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you 100%. And I would like to see them do more of that. If they've got people doing, if Topps has all these artists doing all these sketches, one-on-one sketches for Star Wars, but then have a whole set based around a very specific artist's take. I think there's a Marvel set coming out here called Masterpieces that's coming out in a couple months. I don't know if anybody saw that on Cardboard Connection, but there's one artist and he did like 180 original paintings that then made it into these different sets. I'm like, wouldn't it be cool to see something like that done for hockey? Think about it. Think of your favorite player right now: Ovi, Crosby, Fleury, Yager. You got Zetterberg, and have like an artist take on like a big moment in their careers. Fleury making the big save in the cup, Zetterberg's first or big goal. So many highlights from Yager and Crosby. That would be awesome.
The Ovi behind the back laying down. That'd be a great one.
Doesn't Ultimate do a masterpiece?
Yeah, so they have these. I did put them in there, and I know it's somewhat of what we're talking about, but I think for me it's more of like getting the moments, just like Kyle talked about that behind the head. I still can't believe he scored that goal. I'm never gonna get over how amazing that goal is, but like to get an artist version of that where there's some subtle differences to the actual picture of it happening in the game, maybe from a different angle nobody got. I don't know, but there's definitely some room for creativity, and I'm all about that. So I had to do Fanimations, the early Fanimations. So looking at our time here, I think we got time for everybody to do one more. We got about 20 minutes or so left, so we'll do another round. I mean, by then we're going to have 12 cards at the minimum people can start looking up. But, I mean, these are some amazing highlights for me so far. I hope you guys are enjoying it. But feel free in the comments, if for those of you that are here, what's a highlight from Upper Deck in the last 10 years, a card or a set that you absolutely love? And we'll make sure to get to the comments here when we're all wrapped up. So let's go back to Kyle here. I can't wait to see what he comes up with now. I'm waiting for him to do another set that
Well,
couldn't.
I had planned to put in some curveballs like the Parkhurst, because I already posted enough on my page about the stuff that I really
Right.
delve into, right? So I think I'll go with the curveball, and you may be shocked by this, but it's gonna be Upper Deck like Series 1, Series 2. I know a lot of people think, even myself, kind of just, it's mass produced. It's kind of for everybody, all ages, all budgets, and then kind of whether you're hardcore or just casual. But there's always generally something in that product that's unique, rare, kind of neat. So my favorite out of the Series 1, Series 2 is the 2013-14 Shining Stars. So the initial release of the insert set Shining Stars and the Rainbow Parallel. So this year was the first release of this insert set, and it continued on for quite a while. So maybe somewhere between like half a decade to a decade, they kept these in the product, and then just changed up their rarity and scarcity. But for these specific ones, depending on the player's position, the odds were different. So for your wingers, the odds were, I believe, to just to pull any of the 10 or 5 people in the checklist was something like one in 4 or 5 cases just to pull one of these guys, and then or any of them, and then to pull a specific guy, it's like 1 in 30 cases or something like that for the wingers. And the odds are still high up there, difficult to get on the other positions, but a little bit easier as far as that goes. So thought they were very unique and rare. So
I want to throw out there that when I was collecting them, that Alex Burrows has one of those. I don't know how he made it into the set with all those other great players, but
got one of them. Yeah,
no,
they're nice.
It's kind of funny. If I ever stumble across a rainbow, I'd be like, I need to get that because the rarity in itself. But did either Tim or Stammer, did either of you guys know about that those cards at all?
I had no idea first time.
Wow. They do some sneaky tough releases, man, and sometimes they catch on and sometimes they don't, like the highlighters that just came out in Series 2, the Flurry Green. I mean, the odds on that thing are crazy, and then if you look at like the specific player odds on it, it's even bigger. But you can get them. I paid, whoa, wow, what the heck is that?
But
I start playing. Wow.
I could name a few though out of the Series 1 and 2 kind of years as they go, and some of the rare short prints, definitely the clear cut superstars. I mean, especially the 15-16 year, because you have some of the rookies in there, right? You have McDavid as a clear cut superstar, even though it's a rookie. That's box cutters. I thought those were really interesting. Yeah, very, very cool. And fluorescence, that was kind of Upper Deck's rendition when they discontinued the PMGs there till they came out with Skybox again. So yeah, they've come up with some good stuff. But it is kind of far and few between as far as how many cards I enjoy in this Series 1 and 2. So
I wish Kelvin was here. He said that, what was it, like 15-16 or something? There was a Series 2 year that he said was awesome because if you look at like the tier of inserts, they all kind of had tougher odds on them, and then there were parallels like that rainbow that were even tougher. And so it's hopefully they start going more towards that, because I think we would rather get less inserts but have them be rare and more spectacular looking.
I do think so. At the end of the day, if you make it a tougher chase, I get people want to get hits in every pack and exciting it, but that also drains the excitement out of it, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you're always getting something, does anything mean? Like, does any of it mean anything, right? So when you cut down on maybe the amount of parallels for some of these inserts and cut down on the print run of the inserts and make it very tough, I mean, at the end of the day, people think I'm getting less for the same amount of dollars, but when you do hit that, it's more special. So, in my opinion,
I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, just because of time, I know we could probably talk more about our favorite Series 1 and Series 2 releases, but let's move on to Stammer. What's your third choice here, third and final choice?
Okay, I'm going to go with Cup. The goalie, okay? Dominic Hasek.
Okay.
Honorable numbers, nice.
Oh,
I really like the full body image of this. It really lays out the card very nicely. Everything pretty much ties this card together. I think it's one of my favorite years. I'm not really too huge on honorable numbers, but there's some specific years that they look really great. Because the thing is with the honorable numbers, like you have a small window, right? So you don't really have much. So you really like to find both windows to have some action in it. That's just me personally, but obviously beggars can't be choosers, so you just get what you can, right?
Definitely. Well, especially the hand numbered side of things. I think, do we all agree that the hand number just adds that extra little bit of, niceness to it?
Mm-hmm.
I like that, and the patch windows how they're to the number as well. Very
Mhm.
interesting design, right? So
They definitely stand out.
Sorry.
When it comes to the patch auto genre, I think we were to just look at that genre of cards. They're a highlight, right? Because of the patch window being the number, having the hand number in there. Usually all the patches are really, really nice. And especially when you get a player, I'm sure Tim loves this, with a low number and you can get it to their jersey number. Like that's like you can get a jersey number card no matter what out of that card. So yeah, they're very special for sure. I mean, the cup, we could just do a whole episode on the cup. It would be like 5 hours, and Mitch would host it, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think well, let's just go around real quick because we have time before Tim and I go. Besides honorable numbers, what's a set in the cup? Could be a one-off, could be every single year that you think is a huge standout besides honorable numbers that you just look forward to seeing every time they release the cup. Like, ooh, what's it going to look like this year or whatever?
Scripted sticks.
That's the one.
Oh,
Scripted subjects. That's what he said. Yeah.
I'd say for the continuing like insert or set would be limited logos, but if they could bring back that all-star royalty, oh my goodness, that'd be nice.
I think they ruined. Well, this is just my opinion. The new set of cup. I think the way how they designed the new limited logo. They went they went with like a rectangular box, and it really like threw me off. I was like, what is going on here? It kind of reminded me of, let's do what's that set called? Like when Upper Deck Supreme sticks. What's that from?
Is it Splendor? No.
It's not Splendor.
Stammer's stealing my thunder. That was going to be my last choice. I know it's a complete stage,
but like it kind of reminds me of like Upper Deck, like Supreme product, and it was like a sideways patch, right? That's kind of like how they did it.
You thinking of that?
No, not that. Okay. That one's a remnant. It's kind of like a benchmark, kind of like a Panini benchmark, but like sideways. So you can't really fit like a nice patch in a rectangular section. You need like you need to follow like the suit on like what they normally did. They normally went with like a standard square box, or even some specific years they almost did like almost a crest style, like in what was that 10-11, I think 10-11. Yeah, they got to keep it more of like a roundish shape of box to get all that like eye appeal of that specific. Because when you think about limited logo, it's like I'm looking for the card with the big patch in it, right? And you look at it this year, and you're like, where to go, right? So you're like, I think I'm gonna go after another set. But then also too, they did the numbering weird. I find because I heard they used like European. They had like a European. They were designing the cards in Italy, so they used like a typewriter type of numbering
I can't
system.
wrap my head around
I know
the new serial numbering. It just looks so odd on the cards. Yeah,
throws me off. And then like the emblems of endorsements, they kind of threw off the whole backing of it. Like, don't get me wrong, they're still nice window, but I think like the whole like emblem of endorsement, they normally kept it like simplicity normally, very like to the point, and like you get the whole appeal of the card. Just seems like too much going on the new product, personally.
I think that's a great set, though, in general. There's been some real nice emblems of endorsement over the years, man, and that's one that will always stick out. It's a low-numbered set, 2 nice chunks, and usually great photography on there, too. What about you, Tim? Is there a cup set besides those that you're like, ooh, I'm excited to see what this is going to look like?
It's, for me, off the top of my head, it's a little hard to come up with one. I didn't want to, being that it was already brought up, I do love renditions because
Same.
They, at one point, I feel like they did have a little bit of like an artwork style to it in the first couple of years, and then they went for the like actual photo itself, which I enjoy too. But the renditions is what I always come back to. Like the first one I bought was a Barkov rookie out of 35, the rookie out of 35. It featured like an artwork style that they had the same photo of in the rendition set, and then they had an SP Authentic Moments. But the SP Authentic Moments had the actual photograph, whereas the cup rendition had the stylized artwork of that same photograph. So that's what I liked from the cup. Do they do that still though? With each year?
Well,
that's a good question. Yeah,
some of the art, it's not artwork anymore. I wish it was. They over edit the photo, right? Like they'll really darken it, or they'll really add, like they'll take the contrast away. Like they definitely add this like Panini-esque editing to the photos now, and they do the different colored ink, right? Like the Cujo a couple years ago had the blue ink on it. So I think they still, it's just not quite, again, like original Fanimation, it's not quite up there, but it's a good one to look forward to. And, it could come back, right? The cup goes in waves as far as design and popularity. So, as tough as this year was, the fact that we even got one, to be honest with you, I'm really surprised still. I'm glad we did, but I think you're going to see by 22-23, I think that release is going to be bananas, let alone Bedard's rookie year. That's going to probably go completely nuts, but yeah. So Tim, we're on to you, dude. What's your final choice for the episode as far as like a big highlight the last 10 years?
I will go with one that actually has not been done in the way that I've liked it in a good handful of years. So I go back to Ultimate, and one of my favorite little subsets from Ultimate was the Ultimate Introductions Rookies Red. Like, it does not translate well in my camera, but this is a very vibrant red. And with the acetate finish, it's one of my cleanest looking card designs in my collection. They did it for 16, 17. I don't know about 15, 16, but I think I have one from 17, 18. And from that moment onward, the Ultimate Introductions rookie set, the parallels, that's when they sort of went to a purple design for the more lower numbered parallels of that set. But for me, the red originals out of 6, those are some of the nicest looking cards for me over the past, 10 years? So that's my choice.
I didn't even know you got the card.
Yeah, did they have the blacks that year as well?
Yeah, they had the black.
Okay, yeah.
That was out of 25, the Onyx, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they look
are
really
nice.
Like they have a nice shiny finish on them, right? They look like high quality stock. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Those are all red, or are they specific for the team?
No, it's all red. So no matter the team, it's an all red for 16, 17. For the other years, they have different colors.
Right on.
You got to love when you collect a player who's got color, whose team's color is one of the parallels. Like, you guys can imagine, I know everybody's like PMGs, whatever anymore. A green PMG Fleury from the Wild, come on, let's go. All I need now is a yellow PMG when he gets back on the Penguins, and then I'll be set because I got a red from the Blackhawks, But yeah, there's something like with that Aho. Not only is it super rare and super nice, but it matches the jersey. I mean, like that's an extra. The only thing you need it to be is out of 20 and have it be 20 out of 20 to be like the ultimate card for you.
So if Fleury gets back on the Penguins, are you going to be chasing his 1-of-1 Skybox PMG?
Oh my gosh, that card would be that. Me and Kendall would have a bloodbath war over that thing, I'm sure. But he'd probably come out on top. But I would sure give it my all. Don't get me wrong. That would be pretty special. I don't think it'll happen, but I've been wrong before. Okay, so my last choice is a set that they're not doing anymore. And I don't know why it stopped. They did it for 2 years. And I kind of already, that's not the card I was going to show, but from that same set, I'm all about game used pieces being unique. We always see the napkins, we see the patches. They're great. Don't get me wrong. But I like seeing parts of the stick, or the, like for the goalies, especially the pads, or even like, I don't know, maybe like a twine off of the dangler off the mask, like anything unique I'm all about. But complete sticks from not Synergy, but from Ingrained. Those are some, Fleury's, I got to admit, this is probably one of the blandest looking examples. He does not have a lot of color in the stick pieces. For some reason, the pieces they had left for him were like from the inner part of the shaft as opposed to like the outer part of where it says True on it. But these, if you've ever seen a McDavid or any other goalies or other players, these are just so colorful, especially when the players are using like green or yellow tape, and then you got part of the handle and part of the tape off of the, where the paddle is. These are some of the most unique looking cards. And I've seen some amazing examples, but I had to bring this up as being a big highlight for me. I think Ingrained is a set that I would love to see come back and replace a handful of sets that they do. To be honest with you guys, like Trilogy, I would like to see Trilogy go away for Ingrained. I think Ingrained, with the base cards looked amazing, the parallels looked amazing. Having a set based around sticks, game used sticks, why not? They're always colorful, they always look good. I know the manufactured what is that? They're like carbon fiber autos or whatever. Yeah. It's kind of gimmicky in that sense, but I think there's some big highlights, including these. So, any of you guys big Ingrained fans at all?
Yeah, it's very nice product overall. Like as you said, when they do the manufactured carbon fiber and they just use like a standard bland stick auto, I think honestly that should go away personally. Overall, very nice. Like those complete sticks, very nice. They got that they got some product on there. They got the grainy texture on it, so it's like feels like wood, right? But like I because they only did that the 1 year. They never followed it up the second year, and I think they should keep on continuing. Same thing like with Chronology. I think Chronology should continue. They haven't done that either. But Ingrained, I think it's really difficult for them to keep continuing that product because they focused a lot on property. Yeah, exactly. Carbon time. Yeah. And they got some of them that they come auto too. So those are pretty sweet, but they focus a lot of property ofs on an Ingrained. And it's actually the first year that, well, it's the only time that I've ever seen. I don't know if they've done it in another product, but they actually did like a property of auto. So some of them, they actually came autographed. So like I've seen the Wayne Gretzky one. The Wayne Gretzky one came autographed. Pretty neat because they've never actually done it before. The only other company that's tried it is Leaf, but then they just slap a sticker on it, right? That's as close as you're going to get to it. But yeah, I found it pretty cool, but it'd be really expensive to do that product because like you think about it, like how much that product was selling for when it was out. It wasn't actually that crazy when you really think about it. It must have been like what, like maybe 300 Canadian, maybe 300 Canadian a box. Yeah. It's not that bad when you think about like what you can potentially get in there. Like what was there? There was a Gordie Howe, Wayne Gretzky dual property. Like, can you imagine like pulling one of those and you're just like, whoa, you'll be like flipping yourself backwards on your seat, right? If you pulled one of those, like, Jesus, Murphy, right?
It definitely was one of those interesting sets, right? As for me, for Ingrained, I'm on the border just because of I'm more of like an insert person, but I did appreciate the base rookies. So especially from that 18-19 set, I thought they looked really good. So yeah, there's definitely some cards in that set that definitely hit the mark. So
I'm surprised the Carve in Time wasn't something that you picked up on, Kyle. I mean, I know they're not shiny, but they're really some of the more unique cards I've ever held in my hand before. And for the price you can get some of them for, it's pretty sweet.
I think I need to see one in person. That's why. So at some point, maybe I'll find somebody who has one and take a look, or maybe I'll have to buy a super cheap one and just check it out. So
if I find a Flurry for really cheap, I know where I'm sending it just so I can watch. As long as you record yourself opening the card, I want to see it. But that would be cool.
absolutely.
So, awesome. Well, I know there's probably a lot of honorable mentions we didn't get to. I would be remiss if I did not mention how awesome Stature is. I know that it's coming out for like its third year, hopefully soon. But gosh, man, even the base cards look absolutely amazing from that, all the foiling and stuff. The dogs outside agree with me finally. But no, it's an incredible set. So I'm so glad that they're continuing that. I think it's one of the nicest sets they've ever done as far as just overall design of all the cards. It hits the mark. I'll probably be sucked into buying a box eventually, and then I'll pull a no-name rookie auto, and that'll be my hit, and I'll just be like, why did I do that to myself? But it'd be worth it just for the fun of it. But we need to get to a question before we end this episode, and that's back here. Tampa asked this one to Kyle. A PSA 8 Madonna grand finale just sold for $660. What are your thoughts on that sale?
I'm disappointed because I was at work. I had a duty watch and I had 24 hours with no cell service, so I missed it, and I'm extremely upset because one that was missing, and I thought the price was pretty good, honestly. PSA 8's probably gonna be your average grade on those grand finales. They're old. They can get a lot of surface condition issues. So, and I mean, Madonna, like Mike Madonna is the #1 U.S. player in my mind. But we'll see what happens with Matthews. But again, that's a future debate. So. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, $660 doesn't seem like a lot for something so unique and so hard to find. So I think grand finales, maybe a dozen or so pop up a year on eBay, right? So it's just I'm astonished by the price, to be honest.
Well, let's do this for a closing then. This will be a really quick 30-second answer each, and then we'll sign off. Besides grand finales, I think there's certain inserts we never want to see come back because they need to stay. It's just like doing a sequel for a movie nobody asked for it 40 years later. Like, what? Thank God Top Gun was so good. I was so worried that it was just going to ruin the original. But think of an insert from the 90s, and I got one in mind right off the top of my head. But is there an insert from any sport that you'd like to see that's an upper deck insert from – I know Fleer, obviously, they can do those too, that you would like to see them bring back in, maybe it's for the first time re-release? What's the first one that comes to mind, Tim?
NHL Icons. Those are one of my favorites.
Those would be sick.
Back in the day, yeah. That's the one that immediately popped up to my head.
Ooh. I don't want to say it, but the Bowman Best Atomics. Just because they already did the rendition of the grand finales, so in 2014-15, so definitely the Atomics, and just do 1 year. That's it, and then just cut it off. Yeah, just one off. That would be beautiful. So I think it would drum up a ton of interest in the product. So yeah, that would be mine.
Yeah, I'd say I kind of agree with Kyle, but I don't know. I think even though National Treasures did the Stanley Cup card, right? How they did that, I think if they actually did one like they did on Pro Set with the technology that they have now, maybe they can make some magic happen. I think they can pull it off.
Yeah,
maybe like a 3-dimensional design. Yeah.
A hologram. It's just gonna be hologram.
There's especially like you said with the technology now, they could add just a little something to it to like really make it pop. I'm with you on that. I think for me, it's so hard to choose between two. So when I was collecting A-Rod 90s inserts, obviously were what I was going for. I think it's one of these two. The Quantum Leaps from Retro 1998 Upper Deck Retro. I'd love to see these come back some way. This could be a really fun one to put into it extended if they continue to do that, but make it like a really hard one. These were like 1 in 720 packs. So like make it in like really, really tough, or number them to 25, or the original holographics insert from Ionics. Like the Ionics cards are so beautiful from the first release in '99. Like the way that this etching is in here, and there's Kyle like this. That's a different picture, Kyle. See?
Yep. I love that. See, we're missing that right now.
For sure. So I would like to see one of those come back. That would be awesome to see them, just like for a one-off, like Kyle's saying, don't do it again and again and again. Like if you're going to bring PMGs back, bring them back. Don't do them again for a few years. Bring them back. Don't do them again. But anyways, that's how we would do things. And I'm sure that's very different from trying to actually make money as a company like Upper Deck is doing. I want to get a few of these comments and then we'll sign off here. We've got Hockey Guy 2006 in here for a while. I think he was referring to your red, Tim, your red parallel.
Oh, okay.
The Pro Gear jersey patch auto from the cup look really sharp. Yeah, that's another really nice set now. Very good point. The franchise autos, I'm not familiar with those, but I know some of the autograph sets from Chronology. I know that set was not received super well, but I think there's some huge highlights like we all talked about, the canvas autos. Those are awesome.
The time capsules were in Chronology, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, they were.
Yeah, I really like those. Those were very neat.
They were definitely better than the Frozen in Time that we're seeing now. They're neat that they're doing it, but Chronology, they were one of the easiest to open and like pull, and it had a little sleeve over the mini. Like you could get some cool stuff in there too, for sure. I mean, this is a really we could do a '90s insert episode for sure. But Kyle, can you just clear the air in here? Why is it so easy to cross these up with the golds?
Mainly just because. Well, photographs don't really do it justice. As far as the little hollow, I think I have one around here. There you go. So the grand finale's a little different. So you have a gold hollow foil here instead of silver. So there's different parallels, and that is the color up here on kind of like the X design on the die cut. So there's silver, bronze, gold, and then the difference between the gold and the grand finale is this hollow foil with the moving picture, which is is not going to show up, unfortunately. not in this lighting, unfortunately, but kind of like a moving photo, right, where it changes. Right. That's gold, and they can fade as well. So some will be lighter, some will be darker. It's just very difficult to tell in pictures, and people don't pick up on those nuances, right? So.
Well, it's not like nowadays where like an Upper Deck parallel, like for a lure or a Peachy Platinum on the back, you're like, is this the yellow tracks or the gold, the seismic gold? You flip it over, seismic gold. Like there's
nothing's labeled.
Yeah. But that's kind of the allure of the '90s. Is they're so subtle in some of the differences, and you have to know sometimes, right? So. The Hockey Guy did say Fractal Matrix. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be really cool to see those come back for sure. Well, fellas, this was a lot of fun. Tim, did you want to throw something out there real quick?
Yeah, before we end, is it okay if I could just show like a couple of my pickups that I had today?
I have your scans pulled up. Yes, I'm so thankful you reminded me. Tim had a mail day of mail days, and it would be a shame if we did not let him celebrate that. So yeah, let's see some stuff, dude, and then I'll show the pictures here.
So I'm not going to bombard because I have a whole bunch of Zetterberg that I picked up today. I'm pretty much wrapping up my rookie year collection, but I'll show the two biggest cards that I got that pretty much complete my PC of him. I got the 1/1 in the game rookie auto.
That's awesome, dude.
Yep.
Wow.
So I got that today, in addition to the 1/1 Be a Player All-Star.
Oh my god.
So I wound up getting that.
Dude, look at the hand numbering. It's a hand one instead of a stamp one. That is so cool.
Yeah.
That is great.
And this is one of those cards that we talked about, like, that doesn't translate over camera, or at least this one, right? This front-facing camera, but in person, it really does pop and shine. No, those are PC items. I'm trying to work out a deal with the same owner who I got those two 1/1s from, who has the made-to-order Zetterberg rookie 1/1s.
Wow.
And the way that we're working this out is I'm going to be helping him to sell some cards. And then that percentage that I would get from that would go towards those remaining cards that I want. Right? So I have some pretty big stuff that I'm going to be moving and that I have in my hand.
Get ready, Ralph. Get ready.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
Okay, Tim, we're talking.
And
Already starting
Naslund.
strong.
So Marcus Naslund is on the back, and Matt has the scans of them. But this one is the Marcus Naslund and Henrik Zetterberg dual shield auto.
Wow.
And then over here, you can't see Franzen, but it's stats.
Oh my gosh.
Franzen on the back.
Oh my lord. This is nasty.
Yeah.
The last two that are really, really heavy hitters is this Gretzky out of 25 jersey auto.
Wow.
And then this one over here, 0405 Zetterberg signature patches out of 10.
Very nice.
Just to clarify that the comments are going bananas right now, seeing all these. he is selling all these shields. Like,
yeah,
Tim's room would be on fire right now with all the heat he's bringing in if he purchased all these. Like, poor guy. But no, these are going to be for sale. And Tim, for anybody that's like Stammer, who's like, oh, I'm hitting him up. Like, anybody's interested in those, are you looking to do private deals for this seller before hitting up eBay? Is that the plan?
Well, being that it's sort of like a consignment deal and I'm working for him, I have to put it out on the open market first. Listen, people are going to DM me, and I expect that, and I'll try to do it, work around this in the most professional manner. If these were my cards, I already have people in mind, but since I'm working for this guy, I have to do it in the most professional manner possible. So I'll try to put it on the open market first. I will have a price in mind. I'm working with him to get prices. And then once I get the prices, I'll take, the hand tag pictures, do it in the most professional way possible, and then that's how I'll work about moving them.
Right.
But of course, if people are going to message me. I mean, communication has to start from somewhere, but, that's my main mode of how I'll professionally try to go about moving some of these pieces.
Well, it's nice that, we have this community on Instagram where you already have people in mind for every single one, right? You got people in the Roundtable crew. You got people that you've been talking to for a while. I mean, moving them isn't going to be a problem. I think we can all agree on everything we just saw. The moving of those cards will not be an issue. I think it's making sure you get them to people who are going to love them and people who are easy to work with and understand what the value really is. So I'm sure you will. Tim's a good person for doing that stuff. So if I was into any of those, I'd be like Stam right now. I'd be like having drool coming down, like, oh my gosh, these are so awesome.
Like,
that was
shut up and take my money.
just throwing it out, Anyways, great question. Yeah, what's your favorite one in there, Tim? Which one do you think is going to generate the most heat out of all those?
Oh boy, that's a very good question. For me, I think it would be the 0506 Naslund and Zetterberg duel.
Yeah.
I have to educate myself a little bit more on the Gretzky side of things. It's out of 25, that jersey auto. But for me, my favorite, if we're talking about favorite of the bunch, it's the 0506 dual shield of Zetterberg and Naslund.
Well, you'll have to update us once you've moved them all and you're back on here at some point. Just let us know, like what that, we could do a whole episode just on like proper etiquette with selling cards, especially when you're moving it within each other rather than on eBay. I think there's so many things to go through that people can maybe take note of as far as like, oh, that person, like Kyle's great to deal with when it comes to, because I sold him the Burrows. He was so easy. He's like, yep, I want a gold. Sure. How much do you want? All right, here's the money. Like it was very easy to work with Kyle, and I'm sure it would be with you guys. So I think that would be a really fun episode for you to then come on and kind of talk about what that process was like. And good luck moving all those, man. You're gonna your DMs are gonna be full. You're gonna be like a celebrity here for a bit. So anyways, well, hey, Stammer, Kyle, Tim, really appreciate you guys all coming on here and sharing some highlights. It was awesome seeing those cards that we love so much. I think at the end of the day, we all love collecting, and we have our own, ideas as far as what Upper Deck should do and what we want to see. But man, there's been some really cool cards to come out, and I'm glad we got to celebrate that a little bit today. So, and then Synergy just came out today, Kyle, Christmas morning. So enjoy chasing some of those down. Some of those inserts look really nice, man.
They're making it very difficult to find my 17, 18, and 18, 19 want lists because they're just flooding the listings. But yeah, they're fun to look at. They really are.
Right. Oh, hopefully you find that Pedersen eventually. It's got to happen, man. It's got to happen. So
someday.
All right. Well, you guys, thanks for everybody that dropped in to watch. We sure appreciate you here, and we will see you next Wednesday when Mitch is hosting. And have a great night. Take care, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Take care.